At Byline Bank, it's our mission to support local small businesses and nonprofits.
We chose to bank with Byline Bank because they are local, they're within our communities, and we love being able to support businesses that support us.
They're right down the street. I love our banker that we have, and from there, no looking back.
And for 25 years, we've been a part of the Evanston community. I'm John Lynch, longtime Evanston resident and Evanston market president for Byline Bank. I've been in Evanston banking for over 30 years, and we're thrilled to have the opportunity to give back to those who keep our neighborhoods strong and vibrant. As part of our commitment to the communities we serve, we're proud to support the Evanston Community Foundation. Thank you, Evanston Community Foundation, for letting us be a part of Celebrate Evanston.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no more. Oh, even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Before I sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon. Side by side and through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm.
Good evening. Welcome to Celebrate Evanston 2020. My name is Malika Gardner, founder of Evanston Live TV, and I am your host for this evening. Thank you for joining us to celebrate our community coming together to build Evanston Community Foundation's capacity to invest in Evanston for now, forever, and for everyone. I love that part. The goal of ECF is to invest in an Evanston that's inclusive and equitable for all, bringing communities together to collaborate, to work together on solutions and building a thriving nonprofit sector. No one really knows quite how to navigate what we're going through right now with this pandemic, but what we do know is that ECF mission remains, which is to invest in a stronger Evanston. And we need a stronger Evanston more so now than ever. First thing ECF made a commitment to do was to listen. Once they heard what the community wanted and needed, they acted fast. ECF, since March, has invested over $3 million in community grant making, compared to a yearly average of $850,000. So your support tonight helps ECF to mobilize resources that advance a just, vibrant, and inclusive community. Tonight, you will hear from local leaders sharing ideas about urgent needs in our community. You'll hear from local leaders on emerging advocacy efforts and how ECF plans to connect organizations to its most valuable resource, its citizens. And ECF believes all leaders during this time need to step up, speak up, and partner up. ECF is grateful for you tonight to join us, our investment partners. So tonight's highlights, ECF partners with young philanthropists to build a stronger Evanston for now. We'll learn about ECF Forever, impacting through our growing leadership Evanston alumni class, and conversations with national leader and policy activism, Miss Angela Glover Blackwell. And now, let's hear all about the work that's happening and the action happening right now in Evanston.
Hello, I'm Chef DeAndre Carter, co-owner of both Soul and Smoke and Feastin' and Vibe.
And I'm Heather Bublick, and I co-own Feastin' and Vibe and Soul and Smoke with DeAndre as well.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Eason. I'm the owner of Jennifer's Edibles Restaurant.
I'm William Eason. I was a managing partner up at Jennifer's Edibles. Started working with Jennifer last October.
Hi guys, I'm Chef Q Ibrahim from Evanston, Illinois. My 2020 small business story started, I guess, in March, like most chefs, and we were getting ready for an awesome spring or the beginning of what we call restaurant season. And around March 3rd, we realized that things were turning and things were changing. Everything closed, schools closed, the nonprofits closed, and we realized that it was time to make a decision. There was a gigantic need in the community.
You know, in the beginning of the year, we certainly had a plan for what we thought was going to be 2020, which certainly took a very sharp and fast nosedive, you know, in the beginning of March. As traditional caterers that rely on live events and people gathering, everything came to a very quick and abrupt halt very early on. Our calendars were completely decimated, completely wiped clean.
Going into 2020, we had a specific game plan. Things were, you know, just trying to stay afloat as a small business. She had done a great job on her own. She had been afloat for approximately 4 years at that point in time, with very little of no help, and it was just pretty much hard work that had kept her doors open. So COVID hit, and, you know, we didn't know what the new normal was going to be.
No, seriously. It was a very humbling experience to realize that we have to make a shift. It was very hard because we do all of this really beautiful, fancy food, and it was just a time to basically say, all ego down. It is time to make comfort food and healthy food, and as much as we could for the people in our community.
I mean, literally days before the schools were announcing they were closing, we had just done a tasting for our annual summer camp menu. That was kind of in our head, and like, okay, well, we have all these meals for the summer, like, how can we get this to the kids that need it? And that kind of started the whole conversation about how are we going to feed all of the people in Evanston that need
We
food.
just started thinking about food distribution, and we said we were going to feed 5 seniors a week on our own. And we never fed 5 seniors. The first day it was 17. And it grew exponentially from there.
We said, well, we're just gonna cook up what we have until it runs out, and that's what we proceeded to do. And like he said, the first day it was never 5 people, because I don't know how to say no.
Evanston Community Foundation enabled myself, one, to make a living, to still go, my staff, our very small team, to be able to take care of themselves. It enabled a community to eat. It allows me to employ people from our community. Those are things that are huge, but something that happened immediately, maybe 6 to 9 days into jumping into this. And as soon as this happened, that task force put something together. They were able to facilitate a plan and get people what they needed immediately. Like the assistance was just spot on. And it happened so fast where they could have had meetings for another 90 days instead of jumping in and helping the people and getting what they needed to survive.
What ECF brought to us was not just a way for us to feed the seniors. It was a way for us to stay in business. Because truthfully, at the time, that was my thought. I was like, things couldn't have gotten any worse.
The Evanston Community Foundation certainly stepped up and made it possible for us to continue for the long term, which I think even they had no idea how much the Rapid Response Fund was going to be needed or for how long. Without them, we wouldn't still be being able to feed the community.
Yeah. They help our employees do more work they can do, so they can.
Yeah, I mean, we've been able to keep our entire staff employed throughout the entirety of the pandemic. We never had to let anybody go.
Evanston motivates me. The community motivates me. There is no way possible that you can work with social service organizations and not become attached to the people and the demographic that you work with. You meet the youth, you know the youth, you meet their parents, you know their grandparents, you know their siblings' names. I didn't have a lot to give. The only craft I have is art, and it's culinary art. So if you're in a community, there's no way that I could go to sleep at night for days. It was horrific just thinking, how do I help? Where do I help? I'm just one person. So when you think about community, you think about just that, like these are our neighbors. These are people that we know, and there is no option. The option is we win together. That's it.
I think first and foremost, we're parents. And when the schools, I can't even do parent talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of just being able to help others, kind of, and the reaction that we get back, the emails, the phone calls, telling us how needed our services are. That kind of like helps us push through, and give us extra motivation to like get through it.
And it happened so randomly. It wasn't like anybody sat down and was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. It just kind of fell in place, and we were able to assist, be of assistance to those who at the time were the most vulnerable in our community. And actually, Soul and Smoke and Chef Q, we worked in unison. If I didn't have something, or if they had, we worked in unison to, meet the goals we had. So yeah, if there, Soul and Smoke, DeAndre sent a semi truck with to-go containers. I still have to-go containers because it was a 18-wheeler truck. And You know, when I had things or extra or overage or something, I was like, you know, this is gonna go bad if you don't come get it.
To learn more about what Soul and Smoke is doing, keeping up with our menu, our hottest trends, visit us at soulandsmoke.com or check us out on our Instagram page at Soul and Smoke.
Find us on Facebook at Jennifer's Edibles, or on our website is www.jennifersediblesinc.com.
You can Google Chef Q. You can actually Google Chef Q Chicago or Evanston at this point. It does come up. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram under Tirtsi Masi Zoteo. I know that is super long, but if you write down Ghetto Sesame Street on a piece of paper and spell it backwards, that's how you find us. It's pretty secretive. But this is what we're doing, and that's just how it goes right now.
Wow, I am so blessed, so proud to be in this community. The movers and shakers, just partnering with investors, just wanting to make changes. There are so many ways to partner with ECF, from grassroots direct services to philanthropists just wanting to take action. So I can't wait to meet our next generation of philanthropic leaders.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us this evening as we celebrate Evanston. My name is Tanya Margonza and I am an Evanston Community Foundation board member. As we reflect back on everything that has been happening in our nation and in our community over the past 6 months, I can't help but feel a sense of pride for how quickly our community came together to ensure that our families, students, seniors, businesses, everyone was taken care of. ECF was a huge part of that. Community leaders jumped in, and our Evanston youth and young adults stepped in to help advocate for change. I'm very, very excited to welcome and introduce our next panelists. These young philanthropists are dedicated to giving back to their community. They are eager, they are inspired, and they've accomplished so much in a short amount of time. Please welcome Ben Morton and Adam Haas with COVID, and Aisha Goswami and Cami Steppe from Northwestern University Dance Marathon. And thanks everyone, I'm so excited to meet you all. COVID, this question is for you. The pandemic has hit the local community pretty hard. How did you two come together to help address the needs?
Growing up in Evanston, Ben and I were very aware of kind of the large wealth disparity that existed in different communities, different people growing up in different neighborhoods. When COVID hit really hard, we understood that in Evanston, there was going to be certain communities that were hit harder than others. It really was us understanding what is a great organization that we can partner with, who's very in touch with the Evanston community, can really plug in their resources, their money into the right areas and help the right people. The Evanston Community Foundation stood out immediately when we heard about them, spoke with representatives from the Evanston Community Foundation as an organization that could do exactly what I was explaining was needed for those who were less fortunate in Evanston.
That's really amazing that you guys decided to come together. I'm from Evanston as well, and I went to ETHS. So the fact that you're giving back to your own community is amazing. Northwestern Dance Marathon, I know that since 1998, you've contributed more than $1.5 million to the Evanston community. As this year's executive chairs, what does giving back to the community mean to you?
To us, giving back means more than just enriching our home. It means that we can work to help to bridge those socioeconomic inequalities that Adam was talking about before that exist in Evanston and throughout the world. Partnering with ECF has just allowed us to really fulfill kind of our civic duty and make an impact on this community. It really is just the symbol of these amazing 4 years that we have at Northwestern, and being able to partner with ECF and the work that they do to better the Evanston community has meant so much to our dancers every single year, and we're excited to be continuing the partnership.
We are excited too. COVID, Evanston has personal meaning for you as Evanstonians. What does your Evanston of the future look like?
The future of Evanston to me looks integrated. We've grown up in this very diverse town. It's always been a big buzzword for everyone in Evanston. Maybe we're diverse, but we're still segregated. And this integration that needs to happen is what I really see as kind of the future of Evanston, and less coexisting and more cohabitation. To me, the future of Evanston is integrated and supportive of each other in a real way instead of just diversity.
Northwestern Dance Marathon, your roles as executive chairs allow you to learn more about the role of philanthropy in the community. What have you learned since your work with Northwestern Dance Marathon, and what would you tell your peers about doing work for the betterment of the community?
One of our favorite aspects of our partnership with ECF so far has been us serving on the Rapid Relief Grants Committee. So it's not just shown us how to evaluate nonprofits and speak with nonprofits, but it's also shown us how committed ECF is to the Evanston community. They support on the ground organizations that are making so much impact in Evanston, especially during this pandemic. And we feel so proud to be able to tell the NUDM community that the money they raise is helping the most vulnerable populations in this pandemic.
With all that's going on and in this moment in time, what does leadership mean to you? You're all great leaders. So what does leadership mean to you?
So to me, leadership is just making sure that you're bringing together people who you know have similar interests as you, which is what me and Ben really found. It wasn't so much as us being leaders as us just creating something that we already knew so many of our peers had interest in, and kind of just uniting those who have a common goal.
For us, leadership is obviously been especially hard during this time. I feel like NUDM and also a lot of other nonprofits rely on the communities to be able to be successes. And there's such an important need to keep people like motivated to fundraise and motivated to engage during this time. And it has obviously been hard due to COVID. But like Adam said, like it's so important to unite everyone and keep everyone tied to the mission and just stress like how important this is to like help the communities.
Leadership for me, I think stepping out of your comfort zone and being vulnerable. It's corny, but leading by example, doing something difficult, especially in difficult times, is what I think is inspirational for leaders that I've seen and other people that I look up to a lot.
I totally agree. I think that this year we're really having to rethink everything about our society, about the ways that we have done things in the past, about the way that NUDM has run, about the way our 30-hour dance marathon will run in March. So I think being a leader is really opening the space for that creative thinking and brainstorming and really allowing people to think outside of the box and come up with new and innovative ideas that are going to help make our community better. And I'm really inspired by the people that I'm surrounded with at Northwestern, by the people on our NUDM exec board, because I really feel that we're going to figure it out and we're going to figure out ways to help the community despite all of these challenges that we're facing. And I think that being a leader is really just creating that space and creating that open dialogue.
Thank you. And as I said, you guys are all already really, really great leaders. So you're on an awesome path. Keep up the great work. And if there's anything I can help with, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Tanya. It's always inspiring to hear from the next generation of leaders. Now we're going to hear from leaders who are making a difference today. I know of people who have gone through Leadership Evanston, and they talk about how amazing the training program is, how they've built relationships, how they've made connections right here in Evanston. It's a powerful program. I can't wait to hear from the participants in a panel led by Jennifer Moran.
Jennifer Moran, and I am the Director of Leadership Evanston, especially leadership and training for the Evanston Community Foundation. And we welcome you tonight to a very special conversation with 3 recent graduates from our cohort. It is the 28th year of Leadership Evanston, and it was a challenging year for us because as COVID-19 descended upon us in March, we were forced to convene online. We had to pivot together and support each other through the unknown and readjust to our new reality. I often mention in leadership that leadership is not a position, it's an activity. And so now I want to introduce the 3 women we have today, leaders in action, to talk about their experience in Leadership Evanston this past year. Welcome to Chandra Palmer, Adela Qureshi, Tasha Wilson, and we just really appreciate your time being here today. And I wanted to ask you, what, as you're reflecting back on the year, here we are in October, what does it mean to you to be a leader?
What does it mean to be a leader? I think most importantly, you never lead alone. I think oftentimes you think of a leader, somebody doing it like someone doing it by themselves. And I think the best type of leaders has a group of people that they call upon to really get the work done together, because you need to get everybody's input in. And I'm somebody who believes that it needs to come from the community, and it's not just me making my decisions. I need to have my decisions informed with the group of people that I'm working with and that I am supporting.
I agree with Chandra. I believe that being a leader is working towards a vision, bettering a community, and that can only be done in collaboration with others, that may have similar vision or that also have a vision of change.
So how did Leadership Evanston prepare you to move into the community and continue to do and build in your commitment to the community? How did you pivot towards action?
Leadership is continuing on when you're super tired, when you're frustrated, when you just say, look, I don't know if it's all worth it, but you keep going because you know that there is a better situation at the end for all of this. And so I think leadership, and Adela, to what Chandra said, is, we're doing this together. So even when I'm down, she can push me. When I'm up, I can push her, and we have to keep going. It's almost like that wheel. You got to get in and we keep running to keep the wheel going. So, but I think togetherness is leadership.
What is it that you could sort of bring from the activities and the skill building and the relationship building that we went through, and then of course the unforeseen pivot towards having to just support each other through the beginning of the pandemic? What does Leadership Evanston in particular mean to you after having finished the program and also having some time to reflect?
Leadership Evanston for me was definitely togetherness. You walk into a room and 90% of the people are strangers. If you do know them, it was just from, I heard about you before. And in the end, you end up working with them closer than anyone you've worked with in years. In the last year, I have my close friends that I've had a lifetime, but I've probably spent more time with my Leadership Evanston partners, just pushing through and trying to get things done. So I would say family is something I would definitely stamp onto Leadership Evanston.
For me, it was an opportunity to learn, and I think I came in thinking that I'm going to learn so much from other people. I'm a proponent of learning from other people's experiences and stories, but I also, like Tasha, walked out with more closer ties than I ever thought I would, where there are points in the day where something will happen and I'll think of someone who was in Leadership at Evanston, and so they are in my thoughts now, even when I think of basic ideas or if I read something. So I think there is definitely a bond that you start forming.
We have said, like, some of the 3 goals of Leadership Evanston overarching have been to learn more broadly and deeply about Evanston, to practice leadership skills, and then most importantly, the relationship building that you've mentioned. Chandra, within that sort of framework, what have you taken away from Leadership Evanston?
I feel just so much more connected to Evanston. To me, Evanston before it was a city. It was things. It was a place that I go work, a place that I enjoy going to have lunch. I go to the lake. Now I know the people of Evanston. I know the wonderful people of Evanston that are doing wonderful things to try to make Evanston a better place. And I think that is such the best part of what Leadership Evanston is. And I think the other richness of Leadership Evanston was also learning the history of Evanston. There's a lot of things that I didn't know, and I think that is a really great takeaway, along with the relationship building that I got out of the program.
I want you to think about your path towards your advocacy in the community, and each of you has a very different place. So maybe could you please just sort of touch upon your affiliation and then sort of what you've been working on since you left Leadership Evanston or have enhanced as you've continued to move through the summer?
When I started Leadership Evanston, there was the Laundry Cafe, something my cousin and I have been pushing forward with long before Leadership Evanston started. And I think since Leadership Evanston, it made me realize that there were other people in our situation. So I was thinking, well, how can I help others and in the same position that we were in? And we ended up creating Boosting Black Business, which in the last, I guess, less than 60 days, we've almost raised over 40 grand for people we don't know. I think Leadership Evanston pushed me forward to say, hey, if you don't do it, who's gonna do it? Mm-hmm. And in turn, I've grabbed Leadership Evanston cohort partners and we're doing it together. So
for me, Leadership Evanston made me realize that leadership comes across the scale. There's some movements and some visions that are big and some that are very on the ground. And I think it definitely gave me more push to go ahead and build more community relationships, even within our neighborhood, especially during this time of pandemic. Just reaching out to a lot of the kids that I had seen walk by but never really built a relationship, but trying to reach out to them, have them stop by. So I think more of a grassroots movement here in our blocks has been something that I think I picked through the visions and the learnings and experiences throughout Leadership Evanston, realizing that connections, whether big or small, help move any sort of leadership.
I feel that I'm even more committed to changing the philanthropy landscape and its commitment to racial justice and how we support people of color-led movements and social justice movements. I have been helping I helped the Family Foundation with their racial justice grant process making and rethinking about how to really do that and what really means to be decolonizing wealth, and thinking about what is community donor organizing, kind of similar to what Tasha is doing, and kind of what Adil is thinking about is the grassroots and really trying to push that forward. I think that's so important with the current unrest that's happening. I think that is what's going to help push our movement.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I think that our audience has just a taste of the amazing people that do participate in Leadership Evanston. So we will say goodbye right now, but I appreciate your time and stay safe, stay connected. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right, take good care.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. And to the leadership panelists, thank you so much. Everyone I know who has gone through Leadership Evanston, they come out stronger. They know more of the history of Evanston. They have new relationships, new connections. It's just an awesome program, learning more about leadership. It's amazing. Now, I would like to introduce to you the ECF leadership team. We have President and CEO Monique Brunson-Jones, Board Chair Lisa Altenburn, and former Board Chair Diana Cohen.
Thank you, Malika. That was a very invigorating conversation. I appreciate everyone coming tonight to listen, and I am excited right now to be here with Lisa Altenburn, our current board chair, and Diana Cohen, our immediate past board chair. Welcome, ladies.
Welcome. Great to see everybody.
Good to see you.
It's been a year, and typically we're here celebrating, and now we're celebrating, but for a whole new purpose. And both of you have been so great in leading the board and helping the staff to step into the shifts that we've had to make. What are you thinking about those shifts that we've had to make this year?
Well, I've just been so impressed with the focus and intensity and alacrity with which the staff, you and the staff have moved to pivoted to really be there for the community.
Yeah, I would just say that I think, since the foundation was founded in 1986, everything has kind of led up to this moment.
Exactly.
We've been preparing, we've been working, doing great work, but this was the moment that we were called upon to really put all of that work into action for the community. All the partnerships that we've made, the collaborations that we've been fostering among various organizations over those many years came together now, and you see the work, and it's creative and just outstanding.
In March, when we felt the pandemic, immediately we were able to shift our operations. And so listening, which is what we said we would do in the community, we would listen first and then make changes. The foundation was able to shift swiftly, as Diana said, to funding emergency needs, but also still supporting the community in our day-to-day work. I do remember when I finally realized, oh, this is going to happen. It's going to happen big. There's no stopping it. We had a conversation, one of those stand-up meetings in the office where everyone pitched ideas, and it was like movement fast. We were sitting in the office saying, you do this, okay, you do this. It was operations as normal will no longer exist. And obviously we're not going to return to normal. So I'm looking forward for the foundation to be able to be as nimble as we were when this pandemic hit. If we can do that on a daily basis, moving forward, we'll be a better organization for it. And we're able to do that because the community trusted us with the assets that they have placed here. And that feels good.
I was just before talking about the creative work that the staff has done. If a year ago you told me we were going to be simultaneously, housing and feeding people and supporting nonprofits and supporting local businesses and helping them keep their doors open, I would have said, what? Like that? but it makes so much sense to me, the way we have put partnerships together.
It has been an all-in situation, and everyone has shown up for everything. That's the beauty of it. If you're able to look at your neighbor and see yourself and see that we thrive when we help each other, and it's not about taking from one and giving to the other. It's about coming in all together. That's what makes a community, and I believe that's what's making Evanston stronger throughout this pandemic.
Out in the world, there's sometimes talk about when are we going to get back to normal? When are things going to be the way they were? And I think we have learned through this crisis, we can't put things back together the way they were. So we're talking about fundamentally making changes in the systems that guide our community and people's lives. And so, again, I'm getting emotional. There are positives that can come out of this crisis, and I think that is one of them.
Most definitely one of them. I think we've cried enough tears to last a lifetime this year. But every time we think of some of the losses that we've had, with every challenge, there's an opportunity. And every time someone hurts, we reinvigorated to figure out what's coming next. And this is a trying time, and the foundation has stepped into this trying time, and I'm hopeful. It sure is clear that the foundation has been agile and responsive this year, but it simply cannot happen without our community partners. And Lisa has a special announcement sharing why your gifts tonight will be leveraged to create the most impact.
I'm so thrilled that you're here with us tonight. You know that investing in ECF is an investment in a stronger Evanston. And as board chair, I'm here to say we are with you. We believe so strongly in this mission that the ECF board will match $50,000 tonight, doubling every dollar you invest in ECF this evening.
We know that the need is ever growing, and ECF has been moving at a pace and with an impact that is only sustainable with your support. A gift tonight of $10,000 means $20,000 that could support our staff who are working ceaselessly and relentlessly under unforeseen and extraordinary circumstances.
This board match is something we know is our opportunity to step up as local leaders. We want to encourage the community not only to step up as donors, but to serve as our peers and our partners in community change. Perhaps you'll consider joining us tonight to make meaningful change for your neighbors. We need you now. A gift of $1,000 or $100 will be double tonight, which will double the impact. You've heard from the grantees, the next generation, and current leaders. It is clear that now, during a pandemic of COVID and a pandemic of racial injustice, now is the time to exercise leadership by making a gift to ECF.
Good evening. Welcome to Celebrate Evanston 2020. I am Malika Gardner, founder of Evanston Live TV. We've got two phenomenal women that you are going to hear from. They have a wealth of knowledge. The first person I'm going to introduce is the president and CEO, Ms. Monique Brunson-Jones. She's a visionary leader here in Evanston. And then our next guest here, Angela Glover Blackwell. She started a foundation called Policy Link back in 1999, and it's all about advancing racial and economic equity for all. If you could tell people a little bit more about your work experience and how you've used it to leverage improving our communities, because you both are just phenomenal women in your communities.
My background is social work. I've led in philanthropy for a little over 2 years. The work is never ending, and we are at an absolute momentous time to shift. And I'm going to turn it over to Angela to tell us more about her background.
Well, I thank you. And when I get asked that question, it's always hard for me to answer it because I've never done anything else. I never wanted to do anything else other than work on social change and try to create a better society. But as I was reaching my maturity, grew up in the civil rights movement, came out of college into the Black Power movement, it was just clear that there was something fundamentally wrong in society because I grew up in one of those segregated communities, St. Louis, Missouri, where the Black adults did everything they could to surround the children with protection from the sting and burn of racism. So while I saw it out there, I didn't experience it close in. But by the time I was coming out of college, I realized that the thing that I really wanted to do was to create a more just society. And I've done that in lots of different ways as an organizer, as a foundation executive, as a public interest lawyer, as a community builder, as a policy developer and advocate now. But it's what I tell people is I've had many jobs, but only one project. to try to do something about racism and injustice in America. And I've recognized over the years that what got me about America exists in the whole world. So I would say that I'm always hoping that this country can become a model for inclusion, fairness, and equity that can help to demonstrate that you can be that way. And certainly this country has the resources and the ideals that it claims to be able to put itself on that track.
I've literally gone through my career sort of morphing into what the communities that I was in needed. But that not knowing right out of college was so instrumental in me opening up and trying so many new things to work on what I now know is racial equity.
Takes us to, I've received the statistics this morning talking about racial justice, and Angela's like, we can get there. She knows we can. But I look at these numbers and I'm like, I don't know, Angela, convince me. I'm all ears. So just with the pandemic alone, Black people infected at 2.6 times the rate of white people and dying at 2.4 times. So what are your thoughts on that, Angela, and just your perspective on the social justice movement and how all this ties together?
We are here for reasons that were totally predictable. No one who has looked at the circumstances of people of color would have been surprised that COVID has turned up so prevalent in those communities. Anytime you have an illness or an economic condition, you can be sure it's going to hit those people who are most marginalized, most oppressed, most targeted, most underserved, first, worst, longest. Why do people of color have those things more? Because those are health conditions that are often associated with where you live. In this country, where you live is a proxy for opportunity, including how long you live and how well you live while you live. Grocery stores where you can get fresh fruits and vegetables are not readily available. Places to exercise, not readily available. The stress, the economic stress, the stress of racism also expose the body to these conditions. So if those conditions are going to make it harder for you, we know who has those conditions. And who are the people who are going to have to come in contact with strangers more than anybody else? Frontline workers. Why are frontline workers more likely to be people of color? Because those are the lowest paid jobs, the lowest on the economic rung, and that's where people of color are concentrated. The same is true with the economy. So we've had multiple pandemics right now. We have the health crisis, we have the economic crisis, and they are both what they are because of racism, and we have racism reflected because of the murder of George Floyd in ways that we haven't had people talking about it before. It's a hard truth for people to sit with, but it is a truth and a fact, and it's documented just as you were saying. This country was founded on genocide, stolen land, human bondage, and slave labor. But the nation doesn't like to talk about it or to think about it. And who would? It's ugly, it's sad, it's disgusting, but it's true. The nation's founders and the people who were doing these things created a narrative that justified it. And it's a narrative that's based on a hierarchy of human value that places more value on some human life than others, a hierarchy of human value in which some people debated then whether those people at the bottom rung were even human. And while it allowed people to be comfortable with those atrocities that I just talked about, it didn't go away when slavery ended. That narrative has been running in the background of the nation forever and runs today. So until we jettison the hierarchy of human value, we're not going to be able to get rid of the conditions that laid bare the inequities in this nation that we are seeing now in the most stark way that we ever have. The good news, which is the part I want to get to, is that, yeah, I know you need some good news now. The good news, which I wanted to get to, is that we know what to do about it. The better news is that we're in a moment in which people who have never spoken the word racism, never tried to understand how it could be this way, are grappling with it. They're trying to understand it. They're opening up. Our leaders are asking what they can do and demonstrating that they can do through the things they're doing through policy and local city government, through the things that foundations are doing in terms of targeting organizations that are led by people of color who understand exactly what needs to happen. Corporations are working not just to create more diversity within their organizations, but they're trying to bring diversity into the C-suites, into the boardrooms, and they're taking some of their resources in big numbers, hundreds of millions of dollars, and putting it behind people who've been saying what we need to do all along. We're building what we need in terms of commitment, and we have the urgency of now because we are becoming a nation in which the majority will be people of color. By 2042, 43, 44, right in there. But this year, the majority of all children in this nation are of color. What that means is that the fate of the nation, which is always in the hands of the young people, but in this instance, the fate of the nation rests with the very people who have been disproportionately left behind. And so we have an urgency. If we want to be a nation with a vast middle class, there's not going to be any middle class if people of color don't become the middle class. If we want to tap the entrepreneurial spirit that comes when you're building family, building community, building a future, we've got to invest in the people who are going to be doing that. That if we want to be a nation that can be proud of its democracy, it's going to be a democracy that can operate within the context of difference. And all of that is facing us right now. I think the nation must step up to it, not just needs to, don't just hope for it, it must.
Based off what Angela just ran down for us, what has been your experience in even just trying to get us to the table to know that there's help out there?
First of all, the table is very big. It's very big, which is inviting. We did not know what was going to happen. We did not know what to do. And it seemed like in this day and time, there's no perfect answer, but there are answers, as Angela spoke to. I read yesterday, between March and today, foundations have invested $6 billion into racial equity work, which is more than the last 10 years combined. What all funders have discovered is it's not just the funding. You cannot just put money out there and hope the issues go away. You have to fund the work on the ground that changes the policy that have created these things in the first place. What the foundation has done is taken more of a seat at the table and listened more and funded those things that we just don't know, but we're not out there doing the work, and we can't pretend that we are. We can't pretend that we know what's best. We have to trust our community members, Black-led, people of color-led organizations that are having the lived experience and know what's best for those communities. So that's what we've been striving to do and working in consort with a community. You said $3 million. That sounds like a lot. It's just a drop in the bucket, but it is more power than this foundation and this community has been able to put behind this community in such a short amount of time since our existence.
How do we get the community more involved in policy reform? Like, how do we get them there? And Angela, you have policy links, so break down to us.
So I really appreciate what you're doing, Monique, in terms of understanding that listening is one of the most important things that has to happen, because the people whose lives are being impacted have deep knowledge about what we need to do. And too often, they're the last ones to get asked, never get to the table. And if they get to the table, it's to just add sort of local color to something someone else has come up with, rather than starting by listening to the people who know what they need. And so finding ways to be able to invest in organizations that are on the ground, organizing networks, neighborhood associations, people who are spending their lives through service and other ways, talking to people who know what it is they need. Democracy is a big idea. People talk about it being messy, and I guess democracy is messy, but when it really represents people being able to bring their voices and their agency to try to develop government and systems that are going to serve them well, because they are informing it. And they're informing their representatives, they're informing the people who are running various agencies. We can do better. We are not a poor country, and we need to stop acting like one. The wealthiest country on earth. We have individuals who have the wealth of nations. But if we are not tapping by taxing the resources, then we can't use that wealth to be able to create a society in which all can participate, prosper, and reach their full potential. I feel it's an opportunity for me to expand, but a lot of people don't feel that way. And some people now who are in this moment of angst are being nostalgic for a time that never was, while ignoring a future that is inevitable. Nostalgic for a time when they think America was great, but it wasn't great for the immigrants who were working in the fields and their kids were not going to school and they weren't making but $1 or a couple of dollars a day. It was not great for Black men who were afraid of being lynched in the South. It was not great for people of color who had extraordinary ambition and no place to put it because of legal discrimination. So when was this time? When was this time that was great? And then you have a whole nother group of people who are so concerned that we're not all on the same page, that they won't allow the best of inclusive America to go forward because they think it's going to frighten people. Well, my belief is that if you work in ways that are fair and just, and you are trying to solve the problem from the point of view of those who are most isolated, that your solutions will benefit everybody. I believe in the curb cut effect. And let me tell you what that is. Those cutouts in the sidewalk that are there because of the advocacy of people with disabilities in wheelchairs, who even as they were gaining rights could not really access them because they couldn't access things physically. So they were able, through great advocacy, to get those cutouts in the sidewalk. Well, how many people have been pushing a stroller and been so happy they didn't have to pick that contraption up because of that cutout in the sidewalk? How many workers have had their burden lightened, whether they were pulling wagons or pushing carts and they could just keep going? Or like me, trying to catch a train with that rollie and you could just make it because you didn't have to break your stride. It is an example of if you solve problems for people who have the most to overcome, the people who are most vulnerable, if you solve them from their point of view with nuance and specificity, the benefits cascade out.
We used to have an idea of what our next year was going to look like around this time. I don't think anybody is really certain what 2021 is looking like. What's you all's advice to people out there? How do we handle this spiritually, emotionally, financially?
You have to be able to settle yourself and be grounded in who you are and what truth you know, despite, of course, what's happening around you. And so I've preached this since this pandemic started to the nonprofit community. I don't see things getting better. I would hope that we could shorten the road to recovery, but in the midst of doing the work, we have to take care of ourselves. So I'm saying this as a Black woman, to our communities of color who are doing all of this hard work, and we have given so much of ourselves and right now taking so much from our family to do this work, despite how hard it's gotten. It's like it's getting hard. We have to give more. So you have to ground yourself and take care of your mental health, take care of your health, take care of your families, reach out for help.
And I have no better advice than that. Take care of yourself, look out for your loved ones, look out for your community. Find your best self, your most generous self. Be patient with yourself, but take care of yourself. I mean, if this aloneness that so many people have experienced, I think has really taught us something, how important it is to look out for yourself. I keep thinking about the people who are alone and how they have to tell themselves every day, that I've got to get up, I've got to do whatever it is to feel good about how I look, how I feel, that if I'm fixing a meal for one, it needs to be healthy, it can be attractive. Sit wherever it is you're comfortable sitting. Let it take care of yourself. That thing they say on the airplanes is put on your mask before you take care of your neighbor. That is just such an important thought. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your neighborhood, and take care of your community. We need our best selves now more than ever. And this nation has a best self. It needs to find it. Because coming out of this, we must come out better. We cannot return to what we were before. We cannot go back, because it was what we were before that has rendered what we are today.
Right now, as many complaints as we could have about this moment, there are also a list of opportunities to take advantage of.
Thank you, Monique. And don't forget to join us on October 15th. Looking forward to more conversation.
Wow, what an evening we've had. Thank you all for helping us celebrate Evanston, even in these challenging times. But with challenge comes creativity and opportunity. This year has been full of firsts, but what is not new is our commitment to you to stand on the right side of history. Thank you for trusting us to be your partners in equity, even in times like this. We simply cannot do this work without your support, and we appreciate your contributions for now, forever, and for everyone. I can't wait to see you all on October 15th for a live fireside chat with Angela, where you can get involved in the conversation. This is just the beginning. Get your passes now. Until then, please know we are here to invest in a more vibrant, inclusive, and equitable Evanston.
Thank you, Monique, and thank you to everyone who joined us this evening. Thank you to the ECF staff, to Bond Creative. Thank you so much. To the grantees, the philanthropists, this evening's panelists. Ooh, and special thank you to Angela. Thank you so much. And most of all, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you October 15th for a live Zoom with Angela. You can have a meaningful conversation with her, ask her questions about equity, policy, community. Tickets are on sale. You can check it out at evanstonforever.org. Get your passes immediately. We're all about giving, and your giving goes further. For now, forever, and for everyone. Be safe, have a good night, and see you in 2 weeks.
Good evening, Evanston family. I am Brian Wallace, a current board member at Evanston Community Foundation. Our mission at the ECF remains to help Evanston thrive as a vibrant, equitable, and inclusive community. As I continue to focus on this statement, a quote came to mind that I feel is perfect for tonight's toast. It is a quote from Martin Luther King's letter from Birmingham jail. The quote is as follows: "In a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied to a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality." Evanston Community Foundation is here for good. We work for an empowered and engaged community that collaborates across sectors to define problems and work on solutions. With the help of friends such as yourself, we continue working towards a vibrant, equitable, and inclusive community. So please raise your glass. Cheers to a stronger now, forever, and for everyone.
I'm Judy Kemp, and I give to the Evanston Community Foundation because I believe in the strength of community, and I believe in the grant making that supports Evanston's broad range of nonprofits, from childcare to housing to the arts, that help our community thrive. And I believe in the power of endowment to keep that support coming now and forever.
Hi, I'm Linda Gartz, and I'm the author of Redlined, a memoir of race, change, and fractured community in 1960 Chicago. I give to the Evanston Community Foundation because I trust that ECF intimately knows Evanston and will put my money to the best use where it's needed most.
I'm Alex, and I give to the Evanston Community Foundation because it does the greatest good for the Evanston community.
10 reasons that I give to this remarkably effective organization. If I had to pick one, it would be the way the foundation partners with Evanston's many not-for-profit organizations to collaboratively address the city's most pressing needs. This is much more than a grant-making relationship. The foundation is a partner to more than 100 Evanston not-for-profits. They really listen to each other. Sometimes the foundation initiates a conversation in search of a solution to a pressing human need in Evanston. And sometimes the foundation brings together a group of not-for-profits, each contributing its special knowledge or experience. The result is a more informed, more creative approach to solving the toughest problems in our city. I think of ECF as the hub of Evanston's rich network of problem solvers. Our city benefits, we all benefit, thanks to their exceptional leadership.
We at Rotary International support the Evanston Community Foundation because together we can take action to create lasting change in our community and the world.
At Byline Bank, it's our mission to support local small businesses and nonprofits.
We chose to bank with Byline Bank because they are local, they're within our communities, and we love being able to support businesses that support us.
They're right down the street. I love our banker that we have, and from there, no looking back.
And for 25 years, we've been a part of the Evanston community. I'm John Lynch, longtime Evanston resident and Evanston market president for Byline Bank. I've been in Evanston banking for over 30 years, and we're thrilled to have the opportunity to give back to those who keep our neighborhoods strong and vibrant. As part of our commitment to the communities we serve, we're proud to support the Evanston Community Foundation. Thank you, Evanston Community Foundation, for letting us be a part of Celebrate Evanston.
Siegel, Bryant, and Hamill are longtime and proud supporters of the Evanston Community Foundation because we believe deeply in their values of being equitable and inclusive and their goal of enriching the lives of people and organizations now and in the future. We practice exactly those same goals each and every day at Siegel, Bryant, and Hamill as we seek to enhance the lives of our clients by careful stewardship of the capital they have entrusted to our care. We hope that Celebrate Evanston 2020 for everyone, forever, and in the future is a great success, and we congratulate you on your accomplishments.
My name is Austin Hirsch, and I'm a partner in the law firm of Reed Smith here in Chicago. We have been proud sponsors of the Evanston Community Foundation for many years and are proud to do it again this year. And our reason for supporting the foundation has to do with our dear friends, Eleanor and Bill Ravel, who have been inspirational in their support of the Evanston Community Foundation, the Green Fund, and other things. And we just wanted to celebrate Bill and Eleanor and thank them for their continuing support for the Evanston Community Foundation.
When we wake
birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon. Side by side and through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
We believe that everyone should be able to find the help and support they need. So in early 2020, when COVID-19 struck our community, a group of committed Evanston organizations banded together with the City of Evanston to create the Evanston Care Network. This online platform helps residents connect to free and low-cost resources available right here in our community. To get started, simply visit evanstoncarenetwork.org and enter your zip code into the search box. Then start searching for the type of service you're looking for. Services include childcare, job training, housing, legal help, education, transportation, and so much more. We've also partnered with Amita Healthcare to provide free mental health services to Evanston residents. Simply click on a service and a list of nearby resources will appear with contact information. The best part, this platform is completely free and no registration is required, so you can search for resources with dignity and ease. There are virtually no restrictions and users remain completely anonymous. If you need assistance using the Evanston Care Network, please call 311 or 847-448-4311 to reach English and Spanish-speaking representatives. Visit evanstoncarenetwork.org to find the help you need today.